The Humble Floater, one of the original 8 skills introduced in the original Lemmings, and easily the most straightforward of the bunch. A lemming with the skill pulls out a parasol, umbrella, brolly, whatever you want to call it, falls a little slower, and can survive a fall of any height. Pretty basic stuff. But there's one thing about the floater that I've always found strange. It has nothing to do with the mechanics of the skill itself. No, it matters even less than that. What I've always found strange is, well, what color is the floater's brolly exactly?
Let's go!
Those of you who don't already know what I'm talking about might be staring at this image that I've had on screen for far too long at this point and saying, it's red and white, obviously. And indeed, most official artwork for the series does feature red and white brollies. But let me show you something. Here is the original Lemmings on the Amiga. This is the floater tutorial. Let's assign some floaters and watch carefully. Those brollies definitely aren't red and white. They're yellow with blue spots. And if you look in the skill bar, the floater icon has a white brolly with green spots. And come to think of it, in the intro, the brollies are this weird off-white, almost flesh-colored. That's quite a bit of inconsistency, all within the game itself. Most versions of Lemmings, and by extension, Oh No More Lemmings, have brolly colorations similar to these, excluding of course versions on systems or graphics hardware that don't really give the developers control over what colors to use. They might have less color depth, or may use white instead of yellow due to palette restrictions, or things like that, but they're still mostly the same. There are some interesting exceptions, however. Let's look at some of them. In the DOS version, the main game brollies are still yellow with blue spots, but if you're in the PC-compatible optimized VGA, EGA, or Tandy modes, the brolly in the skill bar is a very odd red with green spots, a very distinct color combination that you don't see anywhere else. In the Super Nintendo version, the brolly in the skill bar is a solid yellow, and while the intro doesn't showcase any brollies this time, you can still spot a closed-up one in the credits that's a proper yellow. The Super Nintendo version's terrible 8-bit counterpart features a red and yellow striped brolly in the intro and credits, closer to the official artwork, but the in-game brollies are a pretty standard white with blue spots. The Mac version has the Lemmings use solid yellow brollies, but the skill bar features the red and white striped brollies of the official artwork, finally. But the artwork for this version in particular has red and yellow striped brollies. Weird. The CDI version has the proper red and white brollies in the intro, but the standard yellow and blue ones during gameplay, with the one in the skill bar being pretty flesh-colored. The 3DO version has a yellow and orange striped brolly in its intro, and a yellow and green striped brolly in the skill bar. Very non-standard. Before we go any further in time with Lemmings 1, we should look at the other Lemmings games released in the early to mid-90s. The only thing noteworthy about Oh No More Lemmings is that the Amiga version has a splash screen for the intro, which features the proper red and white brollies. Every game in the Holiday Lemmings miniseries has a totally unique blue and white striped brolly in the skill bar, except for the Mac version, which has the red and yellow brolly. Lemmings 2 has the red and white brolly in the skill bar, but the main game brollies are the same from Lemmings 1, with slightly different colors depending on the version you're playing and the tribe you're on. The Lemmings Chronicles actually features the red and white striped brolly during gameplay, finally, but the icon for the skill is a pale blue, and the artwork for this game features red and yellow brollies. You got so close. 3D Lemmings actually does get it right when it comes to consistency. The skill bar and the main models both feature red and white striped brollies. But 3D Lemmings is also a dated mess that basically no one wants to play, so... Anyway, back to Lemmings 1. The Windows version has pretty much the same inconsistency as the Mac version. Red and yellow brollies on the box, red and white brolly in the skill bar, and yellow and blue brollies in game. The PS1 version is much the same, but the box features the standard red and white brollies. The irredeemably bad Game Boy Color version features a unique but pretty dismal looking green brolly with blue spots. The J2ME version 5 years later, along with its own expansion pack of sorts, reverted somewhat to solid yellow brollies, with some frills on the edges this time. A quick mention to Lemmings Revolution, which had red and yellow brawlies on the box art, in the skill bar, and in-game. Nice. But then the PSP version of Lemmings 1 released, and featured red and white striped brawlies in all cases. We finally got a game that's worth playing at all, that's completely consistent with official artwork. And every Lemmings game since has used this exact color scheme. Well, every Lemmings game on a home or handheld console. There have been 2 Lemmings games released for mobile phones since the release of the PSP version of Lemmings 1. And, of course, they just kinda did their own thing with the Floaters Brawly. Glue Mobile's Lemmings the Tribes, great name guys, not confusing at all, even though this is not a port of Lemmings 2, but in fact its own game, featured similar solid yellow brawly to their previous port of L1. And the most recent game in the franchise, Exiant's Lemmings the Puzzle Adventure, which is annoyingly almost always referred to as just Lemmings, even though once again it is its own game entirely, features yellow and orange striped brawlies in its official artwork and in-game. Not like the one seen in the 3DO intro. Even the very simplistic icon for the skill is yellow. So, given everything we've seen, what color is the Floaters Brawly? Whatever you want it to be. All we really need is a purple brawly to complete the rainbow. Well, I guess we have the Spectrum version for that. This was a pretty silly little video, wasn't it? But maybe you all enjoyed it anyway. If you did, please let me know of anything else I could do this type of video on, and I promise some heftier projects are on the way. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.